When I buy shoes, I buy tools. I'll just walk around Home Depot and Lowe's and pick stuff up. How you doing today, guys? Today I'm doing some work in my garage and I'm hanging some pegboard. And pegboard is funny. It's one of those things where, from my experiences with YouTube, people either love or like pegboard, or they really hate it. I've gotten some really negative feedback about just the pegboard that's usually hanging in the background. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the method to my madness with pegboard. I've got a heater over my head, and it's ridiculously warm, so we're going to turn that off. If I did more work on cars out in the driveway, I have a rollaway here. I probably have like a 41-inch rollaway with all my sockets that are hanging on the wall and my wrenches in there. Most of the stuff I work on is either in the garage. You know, I'll work on cars occasionally, so most of my stuff I'm working on is right at the bench here. The other thing about the pegboard is I need to see it if I can find it. Now, don't get me wrong, with my rollaway, there's like 3 or 4 drawers. There's one drawer in here where I keep my my punches, my tool with the claws to get things out of tough spaces. I have a plier drawer. You know, there's certain drawers I know I go to when I'm looking for a certain tool, but for most of my tools, if I don't see it, I can't find it. That's the way I am. And I see a lot of guys that work with like just a bucket of tools, and they kind of shuffle through the bucket of tools, and I can't work like that. That would just drive me nuts, and it would take more time. I'm pretty sure it would take more time. So that's again why I use pegboard. And the final thing, which is more lately I've been doing, you know, I've been doing more stuff on the car, and invariably when you're doing stuff on your cars, your tools get dirty. So what I'll do is as I'm using my tools, I'll just leave them out on the ground or, you know, wherever I'm working. And then before I put them back on the pegboard, I'll just take some Simple Green. I have a bottle of Simple Green, put some gloves on, just give them a spritz of Simple Green and wipe them down. My pegboard is a constant work in progress. So I've been in my garage where we're living here. We've been in this house for 17 years. So it's not like I just set my pegboard up and boom, there it was right away. A little at a time, I've kind of set the pegboard up, and then as I got different tools or noticed my workflow was different, I've changed it. The main thing I do with pegboard is I try to put the tools I'm going to use most closest to where I'm working. So where I'm standing is pretty much the go-to spot for doing work. So I got all my screwdrivers and pliers and sockets like right there, right where I'm going to use it. I can't tell you the number of times I've changed the pegboard behind me, and I don't know if you guys can see, there's some torque wrenches back here. I put these on like a year ago when I finally got I got a 1/2 inch. So I got a 1/2 inch, a 3/8 and a 1/4 torque wrench, and I wanted to have those, you know, right out in the open where I could see them, which may not be the best idea because I'm pretty sure they should be stored in their case with the stuff that dries them out. But it just seemed like a good spot to put them. When I made my workbench area, the first thing I did was figure out my workbench height. The second thing I did was hang a piece of pegboard before I put the workbench up, so I would have, you know, access to get it up there. Pegboard now comes in all kinds of different ways. Like I thought it was all just wood, and you can get wood that's white. I'm sure there's wood that's black. This is a 4x8 sheet. I got 2 4x8 sheets of pegboard here. You need to have space behind the pegboard, so some of my pieces of pegboard, I don't have room to put the pegs in because I screwed it to the stud. So I'll just put a nail right in the pegboard where that goes. They've got like metal ones. They've got ones made out of the diamond metal plate. They've got plastic ones. I want it to function right, but I also don't like, you know, the reason I got the plastic stuff I got was because it was black. It was just the right size, but it kind of blended in. So, you know, I also like to have, this is a garage, I do like to have a kind of common theme of my colors. So I didn't want to go out and put like a diamond plate or white pegboard over here. The pegs that are the most popular for me are these little L hooks over here. I like these little things for screwdrivers. And I've used them also for my nut drivers and my ratchets. And then I've got these ones over here for the pliers. And the way I usually end up getting pegs or you know, is I'll go to the store and I'll get assortments. And invariably you'll be short one piece, so you'll go get another assortment. And you'll have to get more, and you'll always have extras. So I have a couple bins, I'll show you in a minute, of the extras. But the other thing you should know is that pegs come in, if we look at the wall, they come in either 1/8 of an inch size or 1/4 inch size. And I will use the 1/4 inch. Pegboard comes in different size holes as well, but I like the beefier 1/4 inch size much better. Does it make a difference? Probably not, but I just like it a lot more. So know that there's two different sizes, and some pegboard is only going to take 1/8 of inch hooks, some is going to take both sizes. And well, you'll find pegs at the depot or Lowe's. It's funny, I had the best luck at my local hardware store. I got some, let's see, National Hardware. These little kits seem to be doing the best for me for my pegboard. Hopefully that's in focus. The other thing I want to show you is they do make locks for your peg. So what happens is if you have a tool on a pegboard, when you grab it, these hangers move. And they make these little pieces of plastic, which you can see I used one right here, which will lock the pegs so they don't come off. And it's funny, it used to be that these little pegs, you could only put one set of pegs in the hole, but for whatever reason, when I just bought the last bunch, they made them a little smaller now. So like all my wrenches, I could put the pegs in the hole, and you can put both two locks in both holes and lock those down. So that's something, I'll probably just start with whichever pegs end up falling the most and work my way back. But let me see if we can just kind of pan the wall a little bit. I've got my sockets over here. I've got my metric sockets on this side. I've got my standard sockets on this side. And then I've got my adapters in the middle and these star ones or square ones, whatever. Got my torque wrenches over here, and I think I mentioned this was a more recent addition. My nut drivers, they're all right here. We've got the metric, all the gray ones are metric, and then the standard ones are all these colored ones. I've got all my, are they called ratchets? The things ratchets. I've got all my ratchets down here. Sometimes I'll leave the ones I use. My lawnmower is like a 3/4 inch to change the blade, so I end up leaving the 3/4 inch one on. And then we've got some Torx down here, and then I just hung this little set of Torx over here as well for the ratchet. These are all my standard sockets, and I just got a set last year of these gear wrench. These aren't gear wrench, but they're the ratcheting ones, and so the middle moves there, and I find it's weird, you get the new technology thinking it's better. I actually find I use the standard ones more than I use the ratcheting ones. I don't know if I say more or maybe just because they're shorter, but if you're only doing a few bolts, I just grab one of these. A lot of times you'll have like a 1/2 inch nut and a 1/2 inch bolt, like on my wood chipper. So if I need to change the screen or take the screen off because I jammed something, I can just grab the 2 1/2 inch wrenches and go. Adjustable wrenches, the 4 common sizes of straight and Phillips screwdrivers there. And then one of my kids got this at the, for Christmas from the school Father's Day sale or whatever. So I just put that there to remind me that my kids do love me. And then, a pair of scissors is always very handy to have. You'd be surprised how often you need a pair of scissors to open things. Really cheap set of pliers I got years ago, probably $20 for the whole set, and they do the job. So I just put them on the pegboard, and they're there when I need them. Got these channel locks maybe a year ago, and it was just one of those days I was walking through the Depot or Lowe's and I saw them and I said, that looks really handy. And I gotta say, I love the channel locks with they make some, these are actually bent. The jaws are bent so they'll grab nuts and bolts better or pipe better, and then they make some that are straight. I like these bent ones better. I find I use those more. A couple smaller ones, smaller needle nose pliers, and then I've got all my brushes and stuff over here. Including my razor. My razor blade is actually missing. It must be out somewhere because I'm using it to open stuff, but including my razor blades. And then I got these Chesco T-handle hex wrenches. So I've got standard metric, and then this Klein Tools Torx bit set I got like a year ago. And these have just been with me forever. I didn't buy all this stuff at once. You never can, but as I needed something for a project, I would invariably go buy it, or sometimes I'll just like walk around. Like when I buy shoes, I buy tools. I'll just walk around Home Depot and Lowe's and pick stuff up. And then I do have this little shelf back here as well, which is very handy. So if I'm beating on something on the workbench, the shelf is not attached to the workbench, the stuff's not on the workbench and doesn't rattle all around. And then we've got our nut and bolt center over here. And we're getting a little bit dark. Let me see if I'll stop the video and lighten it up a little bit. So then this wall over here, I just got this pry bar set again last year. I think I was walking through and I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I picked some up and, I've been using them. You can see they're dirty. I got my hammer assortment over here. This area is kind of, I haven't quite figured this area out yet. I've got my hammers, but I do the most organizing here because this is stuff I don't use as often, but I use it often enough that I want it to be, nearby. And then I've got my my clamps, and you can see, you can get little pegs for hammers, you can get bigger pegs for hammers. I could put 2 hammers on. You can get these big long hooks, like at the top here. See how long that is? That's got to be like 12 inches long, but they come in different lengths. I have my Wetterling's maul. I keep that in the garage because I like to clean it off and oil it when I'm done using it and, freshen up the edge. Got my grease gun. I can't say it's the best spot in the world, but when I need my grease gun, that's where it is. So I just want to show you guys these 2 bins because if you're buying pegs, you're always going to have some extras. And if you have extras, that's a good thing. Get a box, get a bin, put your pegs in a bin because you'll always be, reorganizing things. So these are all, here's this, you could actually, use this to hang a shelf on pegboard, which is, I actually screwed my shelf behind here to the wall, but in theory I could have hung it from the pegboard. This is what I use to, you could hang screwdrivers, but this is what I use to hang my pry tools. This one is awesome for screwdrivers. And then if you have more screwdrivers, they make little circular ones like this where you can always add on, or I did that for my nut drivers. You got this big thing here, which I don't know what the heck you would hang that many of, but if you want to hang a lot of something, you could. This is that little one I use for the pliers. I said I like 1/4-inch hooks more than 1/8 of an inch hooks. Unfortunately, sometimes you can only find it 1/8 of an inch, so you just go with it. And then there you go. That's a 1/4-inch J hook. And this one is, more heavy duty, so it's got the little thing in the back there to stick into the peg as well. So there's an L hook, which looks like an L, and there's a J hook, which looks like a J. And then there's different sizes as well. So there you go. There's another size of I don't know if that'd be a J hook or an L hook. But a couple of these might be just the right thing to hang the grinder from on the pegboard. This is the holder. So this is the older style holder, which I was having a hard time getting my pegs more than one in a hole, but the newer ones have this design. They're much smaller and probably more brittle, but you can actually put 2 pegboard locks or peg locks or accessory locks in one hole, whereas these, I couldn't do it. So this is my little project that I started working on a few days ago, and I kind of held off because I thought I'd show you guys the work in progress, but I think this video is going to more just be about pegs. But what I wanted to do is I got these Gear Inch XL, XP, they're extra long. I have a set of metric and a set of standard, and it just bothers me that I have to keep opening my workbench drawer every time I want to use them. So I wanted to put something up in the back here to hold them so they're out in the open. And I had considered, I have this shelf, I had considered working my way down this shelf, but I'll be honest, I've kind of started using this area here for my hand cleaning stuff, my lubricant when sharpening, my tool cleaner. I got some stuff here to put on my hands after I wash them so they stay nice and soft. And then down here, I found these pig mat things last summer, and I love them, so I got a big box. And then I keep my battery chargers. I've got a trickle charger there, and then I've got a more heavy-duty charger there. I can't say it's super heavy-duty, but I got a couple chargers, which is a good spot. And then down below here, the yellow box is my stuff I use for electrical projects, and that is my Carpentry Toolbox. And then, this is camping supplies, just cleaners of all sorts over there, and then these two bottom shelves are just kind of wasteland. But the idea here is I want to get all my gear wrenches out in the open where I can find them. I really think these are awesome tools. I go to them quite often. I think I said in my review, I don't use these longer gear wrenches every day, but every time I use them, I'm like, man, that was really handy to have them. And then a couple more here. I've got some vice grips that I got. They're not vice grips. They're Milwaukee torque locks that look remarkably like vice grips. But I got these again. I was just wandering through the depot, and then I got some channel locks here too. So I figure, stuff I use more, I'll try to put over here, and it's going to be tight because I only bought 4 of these things, and I decided not to do the wall, but I will find a way to get my whole set of gear wrenches up here and my whole set, my metric and standard gear wrenches. And then these guys here were actually hanging on the wall behind the workbench, but I don't use them very often. These guys here were underneath the workbench with my air tools. And this guy was in a toolbox, and this guy was behind the workbench, but I think I'd use this more if I remembered I had it. And then I got this guy here because I want to have one holder for all my impact tools with all my my extensions. I haven't quite finished on that project yet. I want to have all my extensions up there. I think these things are pretty cool. These actually have a standoff on them. If I can get a shot from the side, whoops, they have a standoff. So if I can get a shot from the side, I'll show you guys what they look like. But they're, I just screwed them through the peg to the shelving there. And it's a really, really simple thing. You could do that flush on the wall. I just lost my train of thought. Somebody walked into the garage. But this thing here is it's made by a company called Everbuilt. And I only saw these at the depot, so I think somebody makes them for the depot. But it's a sturdy enough piece of plastic that I don't feel it's going to break. I like the black color because it matches the shelving we've got there already. And then what happens is these have like a little tab on them, so you can lock them together. You don't lock them together, but they help to align. But you have to be careful because when I was putting this stuff together, and I'm not done yet, I've got more screws to go. But when I was putting this stuff together, you almost have to like put a clamp on them or something and clamp the whole wall, because each time you put the next one on, they're like a little bit off. So unless you have pressure putting them all together, you're going to get off. And if anybody's figured out a better way to do that, let me know. They make these things with these little nubs on the end. So when you overlap the panels, you can actually lock them together and then put a screw through there to lock them together. I found with what I was doing that these things broke off because I was putting a little too much force on them. So I've just been drilling through the middle here, and there's like a standoff here. I've just been drilling through the middle of that, and then I'll go ahead and put a self-tapping sheet metal screw through there. And then in an effort not to over-tighten things, I've been finishing them off by hand. Okay guys, well we're all set for today, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I got all my gear wrench XLs up on the wall here. And like I said, I don't really want to go and put more pegboard here, because by the time I put my rolling tool chest here, it pretty much blocks everything anyways. So I've got my gear wrenches up on the wall, which is much better than having to open a drawer. And then I had a little bit of extra space for my my impact stuff. I'm gonna get another one of these if I can find one and mount this one extension up here, just because I don't like the way it sticks out so far. Sometimes when I put my chainsaw over here and I'll stand where the garbage can is, and I don't want that to be bumping me. I'll feel like it's in my space. And then at some point, you know, the next time I get a tool, or if a tool, you know, occurs to me, I've got a little bit of space there to expand, but I'm sure that'll be filled up sooner than later. But, you know, I'm happy. I don't know, guys. I know, you know, it probably took me a couple hours to do it today and then one other day. It took me quite a while of thinking, but things like this, you know, they take time to do. But I know now, every time I need an impact socket, it's right there. You know, if I'm working on something and I want to find one of my extended gear wrenches, they're right there. And little tweaks like this just really mean a lot to me. Okay guys, well that's going to do it for today. I hope maybe you got some ideas about how to mount your own pegboard, or maybe some ideas of some of the attachments you can use. You know, I think pegboard is a really wonderful thing, and again, for me and maybe for you too, the easier it is to see stuff, the better. So, you know, consider pegboard. I'm going to go through Amazon and see if I can find some cool pegboard stuff and put some links below this video. My next project, well, I have a nice fluorescent light right over the workbench. You can never get too much light over the workbench, and especially like when I put my saw right here to file, I really could use a couple lights like right in this spot, right on the vise. So I think one of my next kind of winter projects might be to figure out a way to get some spotlights or something up here to just give me a little bit more light. But until next time, folks, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.